All right, so I just got back to Texas from northern Michigan. Wish I was still up there. Caught fish every day up there. All the lakes kind of fish the same, and I'll run you through in the video. The last day, I really got on them. I caught my PB smallmouth, one that's almost 7 pounds. Got a limit over 22 pounds. Caught them through the day, but I'll run you if you stick through the video. I had to change up baits, had to change up the heads and stuff, how I presented them, and I show you a little bit on the screen as well, exactly what I'm doing, and kind of get into the detail of the adjustments I made. And if you get back up to Michigan, man, I definitely try this out. It's summertime fishing. They're suspended out there chasing bait. So we'll get right into it. I forget to turn the camera on at the beginning, but you'll see the catching starts right away. It goes on all day. First fish of the morning. Forget to turn the camera on, but it's a 4.5 pounder, big, long. Not that fat, but man, that's a long one. Pounds, 12 ounces, holy shit. That same spot, there's a school of those fish right there where I got that great big one. 2 more came up and they just nip at it. Nip at the tail of the thing, pull it, I mean, come streaking. You can barely even reel fast enough to keep in front of them. Hit it and gone. Those smallmouths are so fast. Got that. Man, that's just awesome there. When you see the drop shot go down, the fish swim away from it. Tells you that first time I saw this school, I caught them. You know, I catch that 612 out of there, and now you catch one, and it's clear water. They're already like spooking onto the game. Pretty crazy. Second 6 of the day, 6-incher. So catch my fish on some jighead minnow, and this actually it's a Berkeley power bait. I don't even know the name, but they did a special pro staff color run, and this is like a translucent purple flake and stuff. Actually, it's pretty thin. It's like the original like finesse fish, that old Lunker City, or the original, like not the super fluke, but the original fluke. It's a real thin profile like that. They seem to like that thin one more than the jerk shad that I was throwing and some of the other ones. And then this is the brand new, is that iCast. It was just released. It's the Fusion 19. It's the Berkeley swim bait head. These conical keepers right here are really good for keeping your bait up there. Normally have to glue them and stuff. Without tearing your bait up, holds it up really well. That Fusion 19, that coated hook, so it's super slick. And then that realistic eye. It seems like those eyes are a big deal on these damiki rigs, jighead minnows. But just rigging it up on there. This is a 1/4 ounce. I've been going to 3/8. Been trying some 3/16. Seems like today the faster fall when you plunge it down on them is a little better than the slow swim. But I don't know, you get a lot of follows, and it's kind of just cast it a bunch, and some react, some don't. First time it's in on them, they go crazy for it, they all come running. The next times, then they're already onto the game. Enough wave action, you probably hear the jet skis here, so we should have plenty of chop to keep biting. Never a problem in on the weekend for sure. But I'll tell you what, as much as you hate that boat traffic and the boat wake, you can see me rocking. It does help with the bite, I think. Big key on these, get it straight down the middle. You see this thing wants to curve up, but make sure it comes right out the dead center of the middle. Otherwise, it's going to walk on you. See, that one's got a little kink. Let's see if we can get it a little straighter. But you want that thing. See, I've got a bend to it right there. Kink, that's horrible. You want that thing so it's just coming straight down and coming straight through the plastic. There, went back and rigged it again, sat down and looked at it. You see that's perfectly straight there, coming right down it. You want that thing to hang. You don't want a big bow in it here, or if you take the hook too short or too long, it's going to be humped back or turned up like that. Got to be flat across here. You can see through the translucent plastic how that went pretty much straight through the bait and then comes straight out there. So got to have it straight, otherwise the bait's going to twist and not fall natural and be all screwed up. Man, that's a classic reaction. Took a good one to see a weight out there, see a weight until it gets in position. Drop it down to them and then try to feather it above them. Come up and look at it and stalk it. Just follow it, don't commit. That's what happens a lot of times, but you see it's starting to shake it. He got real interested, stay right behind it, and then nothing. You can see those two, they'll still stay around, you can cast, but once they get burned that first time, I threw a drop shot down on him, kept throwing the damiki out in front of them, and they're wise to it, they're not going to hit it. So basically it's that first, you're better off just keeping the trolling motor on high, just keep cruising, keep throwing at fish. Kind of threw at those just to see maybe one to react. Every once in a while they will, but basically it's that first shot. After that, you better go find some more ones because they're done. A little bit lighter head, still letting it fall, just slow reeling it over the top of them. You fish in Texas all the time, and everybody's used to the wrap boats, and they just, one more idiot. Like every college, every high school team, every local, every guide, every wannabe like me, everybody's got a wrap. It's not a novelty. You come to Michigan here, like that pontoon goes by, and they're just like looking and looking, and they catch fish, so maybe look good, but man, they look at you like you have 3 heads and horns in every one of them, I tell you. Real quick on the setup while we get back to the hot spot. I'm using a 7.2 medium light. It's a fast action, so you get a lot of tip. You can see the rod bends down like over 1/3 of the way, almost halfway. So a lot of tip. The tip lets the fish grab the hook and get it. It's got enough backbone to fight them. Use the braid. I actually use a little bit bigger, so this is like 14 pound. I'm using Fireline, the bright yellow, so I can see it. I'm actually using a 12-pound leader. Most of these fish, it falls on them, they either react or they don't. So you notice I'm not playing these forever. I can horse these smallmouth in. I can get a good hook in them. And then the Rocket, it's got the super fast gear ratio. So the deal with that is it's like over 40 inches of line per turn. So it's like a 33% faster than even high-speed spinning reels. Basically what happens, if you throw to one, you bugger up your cast, you put it too short, too long, one comes right at you, you can just burn it in, throw it out again. So I do like the high-speed reel. So I thought this was interesting. I've been playing around with different jig heads and different baits, trying to see if I can trigger a few more with bigger baits, smaller baits, slower, all that, quicker fall. I went to the chartreuse head. And this is the neat thing about LiveScope. You could see the fish, they would come up like a foot, and look at it and just go away and then like run away from it. Where the other bait, all the other ones, they'll come up to it and then they get right behind it and then they track it and they'll follow it all the way to the boat, you know. And you can trigger a few, and sometimes you shake it or reel it and you're trying to figure out how to trigger them. But the chartreuse one, I mean, they literally see it afoot and just run away. And it's crazy because smallmouth like chartreuse, you know, chartreuse spinner baits and crank baits and crazy electric chicken, pink and chartreuse jerk baits will catch them. I don't know. It's weird, but that's the neat thing about LiveScope. You can actually see what the hell's going on instead of trying it for a half hour and saying, oh, I'm not getting bit. And about 10 casts, like, yeah, this is over. How about that? That was the second group that I saw after I switched to little size, a smaller head, and ate it right away. So maybe it's a lot of chop out here, but it's actually pretty slick. Otherwise, this water's so gin clear. Who knows? Maybe smaller. You can see this one I've been catching them on. That's like the 4-inch power minnow, using a 1/4 ounce, 3/8 some too. Was working. It seems like the lighter is better now, and this is a little 3/16 with a little 1/0 hook, and this is like the 3-inch size, so just a smaller one, trying a little more finessey, see if that works. So always playing around, trying to dial in what they want, whether they want it coming straight down to them, kind of hovering above, working real slow. Once they come towards it, kind of streak it away. You know, you just got to play around with it. This always makes me laugh. You look at that floating dock here, you see that red thing rotating? I'll show you on top of this little boathouse here too. The lengths that people will go to keep birds from crapping on their dock. And I've seen like pie plates tied up, and they'll put the fake plastic owls and stuff, and the pigeons and swallows and sparrows, all that stuff, just love to roost and crap all over. This guy's got the rotating red flag. I don't know, I see some goose crap on it, looks like. The geese will stick it on those herons, they'll put out a white streak that big, so. Not sure it's working, but good in theory. Oh boy's got a double on top. That boat lift there, he's got 2 red spinners. Man, there's some big white spots on this fishing platform. Bright white on top. I don't think the birds care. Little one made a difference. You know, I was trying to record more with the sonar, and it makes the screen lag, so you can't. It kind of defeats the purpose. And then this is like the second or third little group I saw after that, and they're definitely eating that little one. Should have made that change before, but lighter head and really that little bait. Man, that's a chunk. All right, 2:34. Just heard AC/DC. Shook me all night long. If you don't hear AC/DC or Leonard Skinner by 3 o'clock on a Saturday, you're not in a very good party lake. So, obviously, we're Party Cove. We got your yachts, we got the cigarette boats, and of course, we got no fishermen. Of course, tons of pontoon boats. Tubes everywhere. Everything you need right here, man. Party Central. That plug knocker is like 10 plus years old, 15 years old. Only thing in the boat that actually makes money, plug knocker. Man, that's not the biggest of the day, but that one I threw in there as a grass patch, and the whole patch like came alive. It was a race to come up and eat. Man, this wake is just brutal. It's like I'm starting to feel it. It's like the inside of my legs are like hurting. Feeling the back. I mean, you're just getting, it's like ragdoll. All the weight goes from every direction. I'll tell you what, you probably don't want to go home though after a fishing trip, being out of town. You tell your girlfriend or wife that, sorry babe, man, I just can't do much. My groin is killing me after my fishing trip. I'm just hurting down here. I don't think that's going to go over well, so you probably need to keep it to yourself and just suck that up. God. It's the craziest jump I've ever seen. There's a torpedo through the wave. That sounded like a Michigan folk too. You can tell I'm not originally from Texas. It's the craziest jump I ever seen. Been up here too long. It's another chunk, man. That smaller one. I slowed down, I've been shaking it more, just kind of went to straight reel and smoked the crap out of it. Crazy. I grew up on the Illinois-Wisconsin border, and then I moved to Texas, and now everybody from Texas thinks I sound like a Canadian, and everybody from back home thinks I sound like a redneck, so no longer a native speaker. Another good one. Chub. 22 pounds so far, pretty good. With that accent, I don't know how many times I would get guide customers to say, "Where are you from?" And I'd say, "Oh, Dallas." They'd say, "No, where are you from?" Kind of draw it from. I'd say, "Oh, Illinois." I'm like, "Yeah, I knew you wasn't from Texas." And they're probably thinking, "Man, this guy's probably one of those rainbow Bud Light can drinking sort of guys." And I'm thinking, "Man, I wonder if this guy, his first kiss was his sister or his cousin." So, you know, as long as fishing's good, it works out. And we're catching them, everything's fine. But I don't know what's going through their head when they ask that question. So I've been all around this lake, not huge, but ran around a bunch and started to catch them right off the bat. Caught pretty good. Got a dial, kind of slowed down, went to that smaller bait, caught them. And then went a long time. I went like 2 hours without a bite, barely seeing them. And what I figured out here is basically this lake's like some of these glacial lakes. It's just a big pothole, big round, essentially a round lake. And so many of the places, I mean, it's super deep in the middle of a lot of these. And the flat here, the key is, you can see we're a long ways offshore. So it's a big, long flat, and it stays like out to 10, 12 feet. I've seen people waiting out like halfway out to the boat earlier. So it's spawning flat, just shallow flats, a little bit of grass. The spots where there's grass, those clumps really have them. But the key is, once you get on the other end of the lake, that flat comes out and then just drops straight. It's like real shallow and it just drops straight into the main lake basin, anywhere from like a 40 to like 80-foot drop. I mean, it's just like a cliff. On this spot, it just slow tapers, keeps tapering, just like a 45-degree slope instead of that flat and then 90-degree. So that seems to be the key. And there's like a couple mile section where that's it, and the rest of the lake's more sheer, almost an underwater bluff. So that's definitely been the key. You notice too, if you're paying attention, I've got this canary yellow braid. Earlier I was using this is Fireline. It's got the like kind of neon yellow. and this is Dura braid with that canary yellow. But the main thing is I went to the smaller bait, and I like the bigger braid. I was using like 14-pound braid. The problem is with this little bitty bait, and this is like a 3/16 and a tiny little bait, and throwing it into the wind, these fish, it's so clear, it seems like you can spot them 80 feet out, 90 feet out is the best. And it's just, you have to whip it with that bigger braid, and you're not as accurate, you're not putting it on them. So I went down, this is 10-pound braid, and it doesn't sound like that much of a difference. The fire line kind of runs, when it says 14, it's more like, that'd be like 20 pound of this or something. It's just bigger. So it's real thin, small. If I had 8, I probably would have put 8 on. And that smaller braid just allowed me to cast a lot better. So that's made life a lot easier. And then I'm using a 12-pound leader on both of these. You notice I've horsed most of these in. I'm not, you know, once you get their head up, instead of letting them dig, basically just keep the head up on top like you would a largemouth and fight them in. Those smallmouth, they want to come up at first, and if you have enough muscle in your gear to keep their head up, you can just walk them in. You can bring them in, net them. You know, I'm netting them. I'm not doing the bread loaf trick like the guys without the net. Some of those tournaments need to. If you net them, you just get them up on top. And the other thing is using that bigger, 10 to 14 pound braid, and then that 12-pound leader. It doesn't see the bait kind of drops. It's more like a spinner bait or a lipless crankbait bite, a crankbait bite versus a finesse bite. So I'm not too worried about the line size, and it just allows you to get those fish in a lot quicker instead of monkeying around and then losing them, trying to 14 times around the boat. Big one. Wow. Oh, big one. I switched back to that bigger bait. It got overcast, and they weren't reacting to the little one. And that slow fall, it's gotten overcast and real choppy, and everybody's running back, eat dinner. So I went to that bigger size, still at the quarter. It was like that 4-inch, and that one rips and drag. That's a good one. $3.15. We're at 4 pounds. That's a good one. That's a good one. At 22.5 pounds now, Best 5. It's pretty good. Although I have it almost a 7, so I probably should have like a 25-pound bag when you get a 7 in there. For a dummy like me from Texas, pretty good. Have got that 4.5 and 6 3/4 and that 4, and then big 3s in there as well. So decent little limit. Well, that ends some fun times in Upper Michigan. I spent the last couple days up here. Actually pond hopped. Minnesota's the land of 10,000 lakes. I guess there's 11,000 in Michigan, and Upper Michigan is just full of from 50 acres up to like 15,000 acre lakes. Plus you have the Great Lakes, Michigan, and Huron, and all the bays. So it's really a smallmouth paradise. And all the ones I hopped around, it's the middle of summer, so it's kind of like suspended out there chasing bait. And early you could catch them shallow, but pretty much it's out there deal. Every lake up here, I looked at tournament results trying to scout a few lakes, and every single one would have over 20-pound bags in the spring. It's pretty amazing. So it's, like I said, a smallmouth paradise. You can, depending on the wind, I would just go to different lakes every day, try to avoid the wind a little bit and avoid the people, although today on Saturday, it's big time vacation area up here. So, but fish up to like 4 pounds were fairly common. A lot of meaty 2s up to 3s. I was kind of surprised. I was hoping to get a few more 4s up here, and did not. But today I had a 4 and a 4.5, and then that 6 3/4. So it was like 22.5 pounds on the bag. Pretty fun. Anyway, appreciate the likes, the subscribes, all that good stuff, comments. It helps out. And if you ever get up to Michigan, man, you got to bring the boat. It's pretty awesome up here. So, see you next time, guys.